The winning blueprint presents.
Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. It's Wednesday, and you know what it is. It's Soul Survivor Day on the program. A lot to get to in the Soul Survivor pick for the week. Last week, it was a close one. We just made it, but I told you I was going to make it. I didn't like the pick. You didn't like the pick. Neither of us liked the pick, but it had to be made. There wasn't a lot to pick from last week. I told you that I was running out of options, but I felt confident because the Arizona Cardinals are the new worst team in the National Football League. So I felt good about my pick. And you know what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start chasing the Arizona Cardinals around because wherever they are, most likely you're going to be able to get a win, especially if they're on the road. So if you're smart now, you'll just start chasing teams. You know, don't go looking for matchups. Just go find teams that stink. See if they're on the road. See if they're playing someone that should be able to beat them. And then make your selection. I mean, it's really simple down the stretch because you're running out of options now. There's no more Texans, Falcons, 49ers, Patriots probably for you, Denver. All these teams have probably been exhausted already. If you're around, if you're not around, then you probably either pick one of these teams on the wrong week and you didn't listen to me. Because I've only lost once. There's only been 1 week, and to this day, I still don't know how it happened. I haven't forgiven the Saints yet because I should be perfect on the season. I should be perfect. I should be 13 for 13 right now. Instead, I'm 12 of 13. And it really bothers me, but you can't control what bad teams do. And yes, the Saints are not a good team this season. So let's get into the Soul Survivor and find out who the Soul Survivor for Week 14 will be.
Everyone can pick, but only one can win. Are you the Soul Survivor?
Alright, so you know how this goes. Soul Survivor pick. I'd run through the games. Give you a brief synopsis of why you should or shouldn't pick the game. This isn't an analysis show. That's for Friday. We're not going to give you, in-depth analysis about the game and why this team will win or not win. It's just, is this a good pick for you to find a winner in this game? If not, we move on. It's not a lot to talk about. It's fast-paced. It's in your face. It's to the point. You know how it goes. Let's get into who the Soul Survivor for Week 14 in the National Football League will be. First up, Thursday Night Football. Denver Broncos at the Oakland Raiders. Look, if you have the Broncos, by all means, knock yourself out. But again, family business, on the road. We saw what the Broncos did a few weeks back on the road at Kansas City. Kansas City, a terrible team. But the Broncos weren't able to blow them out, weren't able to run away from them. So what that tells you is it's family business. They're on the road. You don't want to make that pick if you don't have to. And in this case, I'm telling you, I have the best pick on the sheet. You don't have to make this selection. I'm just warning you. So move on. But if you want to go here, I'll tell you it's okay. I won't sign off on it, but I'll tell you. I'll turn the other way. I'll look away. Because the Broncos are a hot team, and they should be able to beat the Raiders. The Raiders are a mess. They couldn't even beat the Browns last week, but it doesn't matter. It's family business. You throw all that stuff out of the window. You already know how it goes when family is being talked about. When family is concerned, everything else goes away. So I'm leaving this game alone. You do what you like. I'm telling you, I'm leaving it alone. You probably should do the same. Sunday slate of games. St. Louis Rams at the Buffalo Bills. Two bad teams. You don't mess with bad teams. You don't go looking for a win between bad teams. This is two 5-win teams. You let these 5-win teams play amongst themselves. Leave this game right where it is on this sheet. This isn't really one that you even need to be discussing. You look at these two teams, and you don't need to try to pull a winner out of this one. You just leave it alone, and you move on. Baltimore Ravens at the Washington Redskins. This is a big matchup in Week 14. You got one team coming off a loss against a divisional opponent. You got one team coming off of a big win against a divisional opponent. Either way, these are two teams looking to try to make the postseason. This isn't a game that you want to touch. These are two solid teams playing against each other. You don't know who's going to win. You don't need to try to be gung-ho and pick a winner out of a tough matchup and be biting your fingernails at the end of the game. This is a no-go. Leave it alone. Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is an intriguing matchup because if you've been watching the Buccaneers all season long, you expect them to be able to win this game at home against an Eagles team that's reeling, that's lost 8 straight. However, the Eagles played solid football last week, and they showed me something. They showed me one thing. I was able to take one thing away from the game against the Dallas Cowboys last week. They're not going to quit on Andy Reid. That's not what's going on here. If you remember a season ago, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers flat out quit on Raheem Morris. That's not what's going on here. So the Eagles are going to show up and try to win this football game. The Buccaneers, if you've been paying attention, have lost 2 straight. They lost at home to the Falcons. They lost on the road to the Broncos. 2 quality opponents, 2 of the better teams in the National Football League. So you really can't hold it against them. They're not at that level yet. This isn't the same opponent. The Eagles are a team that they should be able to handle. However, there's a better game on the sheet. There's a better game on the slate. And so if you want to go here, I'll sign off on this one. I'll sign off on it because the Bucs should be able to get it done, and you should be able to trust the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get it done against an Eagles team that will give up points. Tampa Bay doesn't mind scoring them and can be limited if you get pass rush, and I think Tampa Bay should be able to get some semblance of a pass rush on Nicholas Foles. Either way, there's a better game on the slate, so you shouldn't have to go here. If you just take it from me, you're fine. But if you want to do your own thing and go off on your own, I tell you, buyer beware. There's a beware tag on this game, and if you go at it at your own risk. I'll sign off on it, but I'll tell you one thing. You lose, I can't help you. San Diego Chargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've already used my Steelers. This could be a solid pick because the Chargers stink. They're not a good football team. They're not going to Pittsburgh to win anything. I don't care if Charlie Batch is playing or not. They're not going to beat the Steelers. But there's a better game on the slate. I don't go reaching for wins when I don't have to. I still don't trust Charlie Batch. He got it done last week. Good for him. Still don't think that he's the guy you want behind center if you're the Steelers. Of course you want Ben, but even if Ben isn't playing, you'd much rather have Byron Leftwich. You'd feel much better with Leftwich back there. I'm not messing with this game. I wouldn't touch this one with a 10-foot pole. By all means, if you would like to, go ahead. I'm not signing off on anything here. You're not getting my John Hancock on this one. This one is a no-go for me. You can touch this one if you like. I don't recommend it at all. Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. Family business. You know what time it is. 2 teams that played just 2 weeks ago. Vikings lost that game. Now they're at home. They're looking for revenge. It's family business. Why would you even be sniffing around something that doesn't concern you? It's family business. And even if this is your family business, you still shouldn't be sniffing around this game. This game stinks. Leave it alone. Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. More family business. Trust me on this one. The Panthers were a Cam Newton first down away from winning this football game. This isn't a game that's a slam dunk for the Atlanta Falcons. They're on the road, traveling to Carolina, a team that's been playing better football of late. Leave this game alone. I'm going to say it once. Not going to say it again. Dallas Cowboys at Cincinnati Bengals. This is a great matchup. Not for the pool purpose, not for a survivor pool pick, but this is just a good game to watch. Can't wait to check this one out. But that just tells you that you shouldn't be even considering this as a pick. If it's a great game, that means it's a terrible pick for a survivor pool, because that means you don't know who's going to win the game. So I just told you why this isn't a good and viable option. You need to move on. Kansas City Chiefs at the Cleveland Browns. Yuck and match up against each other. Does yuck and sound like a pick that you need to be making? Either one? I'd hate for my pick to be the yuck pick of the week or the pick of the week. Yuck versus means heartburn. Leave it alone. Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. Family business. Family business. Family business. Now the Colts were able to take care of these Titans in Tennessee earlier to get their first road victory in over a season. So the Titans are out for revenge. Anything could happen in this game. Anything goes. It's family business. Just because the Colts are playing good football this season and are the better team here Doesn't mean they're going to win this game necessarily because it's family business. You don't know what's going to happen. So I say that to say this. No go on this game. New York Jets at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Funk versus funk. You have one team that had a quarterback that was benched last week. You have one team that had a quarterback that was terrible. You could blame it on the Henne last week because Chad Henne was terrible. It was raining. It was a bad game to throw the football, but the Jacksonville Jaguars ignored that and did it anyway, and they lost. The Jets, they can't throw it whether it's a fair day, rainy day, snowy day. It doesn't matter. They can't throw the football because they don't have a good quarterback. Sanchez stinks. He's starting again, which we all knew was going to happen. The Jets are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who you don't know what you're going to get. Basically, what I'm trying to say to you is this is a bad game. Two bad teams playing against each other. No. Miami Dolphins at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are an up-and-down team now. They've only lost 3 games this season, but they have one tie. You don't know what 49ers team is going to show up, and they have a new quarterback in Colin Kaepernick. So you don't know what 49ers team is going to show up. Is the team that beat up the Bears going to show up, or is the team that had a dud against the St. Louis Rams twice this season going to show up? How do you know? You don't. And so I tell you, don't pick this game. And even if you thought, yeah, the 49ers are probably going to be okay, this Dolphins team is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You don't know what team is going to show up. One week, they're beating up the New York Jets on the road. The next week, they're losing at home mercilessly to the Tennessee Titans. You don't know what Dolphins team is going to show up. So, I don't know which Dolphins or 49ers team is going to show up. I'm not going to show up with the winner in this game. Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. Ding, 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 ding. This is your sole survivor pick for Week 14. I told you I was chasing the Cardinals. This is the easiest pick to make. The Cardinals are an abject disaster right now. Their quarterback situation, worst in the league. Bar none, not even close. And again, I've said this several times. There's some bad quarterback situations in the National Football League. You need to look no further than the team they played last week, the Jets. Mark Sanchez and the Jets. Woo! That's an ugly quarterback situation. But it pales in comparison to this Arizona Cardinals team. They stink. Woo! The funk that you're smelling right now is the Arizona Cardinals quarterback situation. And there's nothing Ken Wisenhunt can do about it. There's nowhere to turn. There's nowhere to look. He has nothing. He can only make this situation better in the offseason. There's nothing he can do in season to make this team viable again. We're on cards watch. They've lost 8 straight after starting the season 4-0. They stink. Seattle Seahawks are at home. Haven't lost all season at home. Won't start in this game. Now look, this is family business. And while it is family business, the Cardinals are terrible. They're horrendous. They don't protect the quarterback well. Their quarterbacks don't throw the football well. They can't run the football. And they don't play well on the road. All that amounts to is Seattle Seahawks win at home against the lifeless, listless Arizona Cardinals. This is your sole survivor pick for Week 14. Trust me on this one. You want to win, you pick the Seahawks and move on in your survivor pool. But, as I always do, because I'm a nice guy and I want you to trust me, we'll keep going down the slate of games just to hammer home the point that there's not a better selection than the one I've just given you. The next game is the New Orleans Saints traveling to the New York Giants. Really? Drew Brees and that offense against Eli Manning and that offense. Giants defense not really playing all that well. Saints defense hasn't played well all season. 2 potent offenses against 2 soft defenses. Really? Is that a game that really seems to be appealing to you? To me, there's not even a choice here to be made. There's not even anything to think about. It's not even a decision here that's worth contemplating. You just move on. Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. Family business. Detroit Lions have been in ball games. They struggle to finish. They find a way to lose. Meanwhile, Green Bay Packers lead the division. It's in their hands now. They control their own fate. They can't afford to slip up against a Lions team that's been struggling this season, but it's family business. Lions can score points. Packers can score points. This could turn into a shootout. You don't want to be standing there in the midst of a shootout with a knife, with a fork, with a spoon. You don't get a gun in this one. You don't get a gun too. You don't get to shoot. If you show up, you're showing up with a spoon, a fork, a knife, or maybe you get a spork. Either way, it's not good enough to survive. Leave this game right where it is. And you finish up with the creme de la creme of Week 14. Houston Texans travel to New England to take on the Patriots. 11-1 taking on 9-3. Does that really sound like a game that even bears mentioning? I'll give you the answer to that. 3 times. No. 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 And so, we've arrived at our sole survivor pick for Week 14, which is the Seattle Seahawks winning and winning comfortably over the Arizona Cardinals. That's your Week 14 survivor pick. That's your sole survivor of Week 14. And you heard me loud and clear, but just in case you didn't, I'll tell you again, your sole survivor for Week 14 is the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are
the sole survivor!
So that's a touchdown. Go ahead and throw it up. Let's tack on this quick extra point. That was quite refreshing, wasn't it? Whew! Breezed through that nice and easy. That felt good. My extra point today is Michael Vick. Eagles have announced that Nicholas Foles will be the starter for the remainder of the season. I think that's the right decision. You need to find out what you have there if you're the Eagles, because you've moved on from Michael Vick already mentally. And what that move says is that that's exactly what you've done. And not only have you done it mentally, you've done it officially and physically. You physically said, look, he's done. We're shutting him down. Nicholas Foles is our quarterback for the remainder of the season. So what that says to me is Vick's done in Philadelphia. You didn't sign him to that long-term deal for a reason. You wanted to give him a year audition to see if he was the guy that could be the quarterback for the next 4 seasons. He proved that he couldn't. And so you're cutting ties with him. Good for you. That's what the Eagles do. They don't make bad decisions. They don't find themselves normally in bad contracts. They did it the last couple of years where they just started signing guys. They found themselves in a couple of bad deals, but they didn't do the one thing that you can't afford to do, which is invest in a quarterback that might not be the long-term solution. So Michael Vick is going to hit the market in the offseason. He didn't need to play for the rest of the season. You know, he's had too many concussions. He just needs to sit down for the rest of the season, allow his brain to heal, come back stronger next season. And the reason why I want to talk about Michael Vick is because there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. And everyone can't draft a quarterback in next year's draft. The upcoming draft isn't going to have 7 quarterbacks that are all first-round grade. And so everyone's not going to get their hands on the guy of their liking. And you don't just go reaching for needs. I swear Brian Billick says it all the time, and I swear that is one of the best quotes you'll ever hear and the most true quote you'll ever hear. Need is the worst evaluator of talent. The worst. If you need something and you go into the draft and just because it's a very pressing need, you go and snatch something up, may not be the best thing that you need to be putting on your football team, but at the time it's the one thing that you need, you can get yourself in trouble every time. How many times have we seen teams need a quarterback, go reaching, like the Minnesota Vikings did with Christian Ponder, like the Jacksonville Jaguars seem to have done with Blaine Gabbert, where you see a team need a quarterback, they go reaching for something that's there, and it wasn't the right move. We see it all the time. You see teams reaching for things because they need it, but it's not necessarily what's best for the team right now. Maybe you can get something even better in later rounds, something comparable to what you're getting in the first round, in the third round, and get something better that the team can use right now at a different position. All I'm saying is that there's about 4, maybe 5 teams in this league that could use a starting caliber quarterback and not invest a first-round draft selection in a quarterback. Maybe you draft a quarterback, but maybe that's a second or a third-round pick that's allowed to sit on the bench, learn how the NFL game works, learn how to be a professional, learn how to study in the film room, see the speed of the game, and then you put them on the field. Just because these 5 rookies in the starting 5 have really burst onto the scene and changed the way the NFL views rookie quarterbacks doesn't mean everyone needs to try to have their version of Andrew Luck, Robert Griffin III, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, or Brandon Weeden. Everyone doesn't need to try to have their version of that. It's okay to take a quarterback, allow him to sit on the bench like an Aaron Rodgers, and then when it's his turn, he gets to show everything he's learned over sitting on the bench for 2 or 3 seasons. It's okay to do it the old-fashioned way, as long as you're not divulging and investing a lot of money into that rookie. And if you draft someone in the first round, you're going to spend money and you're going to want to see what this guy can do. You draft someone in the 3rd round, the 2nd round, he doesn't have to play right away. You're not paying him top dollar to sit on the bench so he can sit for 2 years, learn the game, and then maybe come in and be a viable option at the quarterback position. Maybe be a franchise quarterback for you down the road. Basically what I'm saying is Vick is going to be on the market. There's teams like the Arizona Cardinals, the Kansas City Chiefs, the New York Jets that will need quarterbacks come next year. Everyone's not going to get their hands on a Barkley or Geno Smith. And I don't even know if those guys are any good because I'm not a big Matt Barkley fan. I'm not a big Geno Smith fan. So don't even know if those guys and their games translate to the NFL. Matt Barkley looks like he's going to be a safe pick. But again, not sure if their games translate to the NFL as well as you think they do. Nonetheless, everyone's not going to get their hands on one of those quarterbacks. And every quarterback in college football that's good doesn't mean they're going to be good in the National Football League. If you're the Chiefs, I don't think you need to spend a first-round draft pick on a quarterback. And you're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Why not shop that pick to someone who needs a quarterback? Trade back, gain more picks. Because I feel like you have a solid team right now if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. What about the Buffalo Bills? You probably need to draft a quarterback. I take that back. You need to draft a quarterback. You can't keep putting patchwork guys back there. You need surgery. You keep putting Band-Aids on something that needs surgery. Just go ahead, have the surgical procedure done, draft a quarterback, get it over with. You're the Kansas City Chiefs. You have a minor cut that will get infected if you don't put a Band-Aid on it. Right now, you're just walking around, no peroxide, no Band-Aid, no alcohol, no nothing. It's just bleeding, and you just put a tissue over it, wipe it up, and you just keep on going. You can't do that. It'll get infected. Then you'll need surgery. Michael Vick will be out there. Why not put Michael Vick right there in that AFC West? You'll be right there. I swear you'll be in the upper echelon of that division. You stick Michael Vick in there. Why not? You already got talent at the running back position. Just think, Michael Vick and Jamal Charles in the same backfield. That would be dangerous. You know, shades of Vick and Ward Dunn in that backfield was hard to stop. Not saying that you're going to run option and all those things with Michael Vick, but he can still run. Probably doesn't need to, but he can still run. And I think that's part of the problem with Vick is he's staying in the pocket so much that he's been getting banged around, and then when he runs, he doesn't slide. He just needs to get down. But if you're the Chiefs, you've got running backs for days. You've got receivers that I think can play in Baldwin, Bo. You got tight end Moyaki. You got options. Don't forget Preston, who hasn't really done anything this year. Still a viable option in the slot. You know, you drafted Wiley, the young guy. That's a little shifty guy out of Fresno State. There's options out there for the Kansas City Chiefs. This offense can be potent if you get a quarterback. And maybe Brady Quinn's solid. Why not have him as a backup? It's good to know you got a solid backup in your back pocket if you need it. But he's not a starter in this league. Vick can come in, help you win games next year. And you can stockpile picks. Get some things that you might need. Help this team be even better next year. I'm just saying. There's a lot of teams out there that could use a quarterback, and Vick will be on the market. Who knows? We'll see. That's going to do it for this episode of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. As always, many ways to contact the show. Facebook, Twitter, the inbox, YouTube. All ways to contact the show. In the Lab Room at Gmail is the inbox. Drop something in it. I'll be glad to respond. On Facebook, In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. Like the page. Every video I've ever done on the Facebook page. I'm on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. At In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. You know, follow me. I love to hear anything you have to say. I love tweeting. Again, anytime you do something, it'll show up in the inbox. I'll see it. I'll respond immediately or at my earliest convenience. Then there's YouTube. And that's the most efficient, effective way to get in contact with me. Whether it's looking at the show or dropping a message at the bottom of one of the videos, I'll see it. Subscribe to the page. You'll get every video that I do. It'll be at your fingertips. You'll never have to wonder, did I post something? It'll be there, right there. You'll get it in your email, and you won't have to worry about missing out on anything. So I thank you for all your support. I thank you for tuning in to this episode. And again, as always, want to see you back here, same time, same place. And as always, take care of yourself. See you back here tomorrow where we'll have some Thursday night football to discuss as the Denver Broncos will be taking on the Oakland Raiders. See you then.